Hi, my name is Andrew. Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to review a fundraising investor database for the SaaS sector. If you watch my previous videos, you know that you can click my Fiverr link below to get information on investor databases for venture capital, private equity, angel groups, family investment offices, and more. I also help clients with pitch deck reviews. If you're looking to send your pitch deck out to investors, I have a service on Fiverr where I will review it for you. Approximately 80% of the pitch decks that I receive are not suitable to be sent out to investors. Databases are now free with a pitch deck review, so that's good news if you are getting ready to go out to investors. That includes one sector only per client. Contact me for more details on this program. So here are the sectors that I've been covering in the latest round of videos. If you've been watching my YouTube channel, you know that all these sectors here, I have recently created videos on how I create databases for them, and this is based on my 400,000 investor contacts, and this will help you if you are getting ready to send your pitch deck out. Today I'm going to cover off the software as a service sector. So starting off, I use software as a service for my main keyword, and I supplemented the search using individual words such as technology, cloud computing, analytics, digital media, and information technology. And by doing this, it helps me create a broader section of potential targets for your fundraising under the SaaS category. What did the final database include? So I was able to find 5,700 contacts, about 3,000 emails, 3,500 LinkedIn addresses, and around 4,400 websites. And this included some key contacts with their titles and email addresses. What type of contacts will benefit from a SaaS investors database? Well, that could include SaaS startup founders. These are entrepreneurs in the early or growth stages of their SaaS companies seeking capital to scale operations, developing new features, or enter new markets. This is a category that I've actually had about 10 contacts in the last 3 months. And I've helped them out with their fundraising databases. Business development executives as well. Those are professionals responsible for forging strategic partnerships, entering joint ventures, or seeking merger and acquisition opportunities in the SaaS sector. It could also include market analysis and analysts and consultants. These are individuals or firms advising SaaS companies on market trends, competitive positioning, or growth strategies who could benefit from investor insights. SaaS conference or event organizers, those coordinating industry-specific events, summits, or webinars who wish to attract high-profile investors as speakers, panelists, or attendees. Venture capital firms, while they themselves are investors, VC firms often collaborate or co-invest with other investors. They might be interested in expanding their network of fellow SaaS-focused investors. And finally, SaaS-focused incubators and accelerators. Those are entities that nurture early-stage SaaS startups, providing them mentorship, resources, and funding connections. They value access to robust investor network to support their cohorts. So there's just a wide range of groups that would be interested in a SaaS investors database. I found that this is a sector that has been creating a lot of interest, and again, I get contacted by several, but in the past 3 months I think I've helped about 10 of them with their databases. So let's take a look at the database. So now we're over on the database section, and you can see here on the bottom I started off using SaaS as my main keyword. Then I moved to technology, which is another broader category that I like to include in all my database searches for anything that could be tech related, because you're able to capture a lot of potential contacts that may not necessarily have the keyword. Cloud computing as well, analytics, digital media, information technology round off the list. Now another thing that is important to keep in mind is that whenever you are looking for potential targets, is these are not to be spam. These are to be used for research and strategic fundraising campaigns. And what I suggest that founders do is to use 3 different types of investor letters. If you go to my Fiverr profile, you see I actually have a service that will help you write those letters, and then you approach the task in about groups of 30 to 50 each, but you may send 3 different letters to the groups depending on who they are. Remember that you're not only fundraising, you're doing business development, and one of the things that people realize is when they do get into fundraising, it's one of the hardest aspects of the job that they will ever do, because it's the one that gives them the least return. For example, it's very well known that if you send out 100 letters to potential investors, you may only get 5 or 6 or 7 that reply to you. Depending on the sector, you may get a little bit more. So it's tough work. But those that do reply, you should actually go back to and communicate with and ask them. You know, they're gonna usually tell you in their email. One of the good things about getting feedback from potential investors, and I found this when I've done campaigns in the past years ago, was that they would actually be very thoughtful and say, listen, thank you for sending you the pitch deck. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit our requirements now. Or 2, we'd be interested later on. So get back to those particular people. Thank them for contacting you, and ask them if they know 2 or 3 other people that might be more suitable. Everybody that's in the venture capital, private equity, working for hedge funds, micro venture capital, family investment offices, all these categories, everybody that you contact has 2 or 3 or maybe 5 or 10 colleagues in cross industries. So for example, if you reach out to a private equity firm and they get back to you and say, listen, you know, thanks a lot, but you're not at a stage yet, contact them and say, listen, do you know anybody in the venture capital or angel investor group that I would be suitable to contact? Remember, they receive information every day from other investors and other groups and different colleagues. So make sure that you use your fundraising as a way to do more business development. Another thing in the business development line is that you are going to want to remember that some of these potential targets may be people who want your service. If you're a SaaS, for example, you may contact a venture capital firm and they may like exactly what you're offering. So they may not be investors, but they say, hey, listen, you know, we're upgrading our systems and we'd like you to provide us with some information on what your product is like. So that's one thing to remember when you're doing your fundraising. So let's swing over to the review of the database here. So for example, we ended up with 5,700 emails, or 5,700 contacts, 3,000 emails, 3,500 LinkedIn's, and 4,400 websites. So what does this mean when there's only 3,000 emails but 5,000 contacts? Well, that generally means that when I actually create databases, I get them from a number of sources, and in many cases the emails are not listed as part of the source information, or in many cases the actual website does not have an email address. And it's very common that they don't list it. However, if you go to the contacts or the team page, in many cases they're going to have a LinkedIn address, or in some cases they'll actually have the team member's email address there, although it does not end up as a email on the home page. So keep that in mind. Remember, these databases are meant to be used for research, so you have to do work. They're not a magic list that you can just all of a sudden send your pitch deck out to. It doesn't work that way. It wouldn't be that easy. Another thing to keep in mind about LinkedIn addresses, if you're not comfortable going out to people using LinkedIn, now the good thing about LinkedIn is you're able to get more information not only about the company but the person. So I always suggest to people click the website, click the LinkedIn, create a spreadsheet and start to track a bunch of information about these contacts because that's really how you do it. Fundraising is a full-time job, and although as an entrepreneur and a founder you already have a full-time job, so you may want to allocate somebody in your firm to do what I would call the research part of the task, and then you would come in later with the contact part. And again, create 3 different types of letters for different purposes. There are services on the internet that will take your LinkedIn addresses and search the emails for them. It is a paid service. It's not very much though. For example, I have a database of around 39,000 angel investors, and I have clients that have used these services to help them extract email addresses for many of these LinkedIn addresses, so keep that in mind. So this is how I would create a database for a client in the SaaS sector to help them with their fundraising. Are you looking for updated investor databases? My databases include venture capital, private equity, family offices, angel investors, angel groups, and high net worth investors with over 400,000 verified global contacts. And be sure to check out my full database of family investment offices, the perfect way to access ultra high net worth investors. This is the largest database of family investment offices that you're able to access. There's over 10,000 contacts. Click my Fiverr link below for more information. Thank you for watching this video.